The top stories tonight in Y News. 6 cases of the more transmissible COVID-19 variant first detected in South Africa have now been recorded in the Philippines.
Local government units express worries about vaccine hesitancy among healthcare workers.
PDEA Director General Wilkins Villanueva offers to resign if evidence shows PDEA agents are involved in failed drug busts in Quezon City. New telco player, Ditto Telecommunity, to begin its commercial operations by March 8th.
Japan asks China to stop conducting annual COVID-19 tests on Japanese citizens entering the country.
And new wearable technology turns humans into batteries. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Marikina City. Today is Tuesday, March 2, 2021. I am Harleen Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Nicolas III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide to the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. Over 100 medical and non-medical workers in Marikina City received their vaccine jabs today. However, one doctor of Amang Rodriguez Memorial Medical Center experienced dizziness after the 30-minute post-vaccination monitoring.
Nalulungkot ako sapagkat nakahanda na ako magpabakuna.
Pwede rin natakot siya kanina, worried siya, tapos mainit, or tapos gutom na siya. So, we'll just bring her to the ER just to be sure. Mga several tests lang po, mga baseline. Kapag okay po lahat, then you can already set her go home.
According to Mayor Marcy Teodoro, the vaccinee is under monitoring while tests are being performed to ensure her safety.
Sa ngayon, siya ay kasalukuyang under observation at tinitiyak na mabuti kung ano ang kanyang kalagayan. Kaya may mga test na ginagawa pa sa kanya.
No other vaccinees have experienced side effects. One of the city's first who received the COVID-19 vaccine is Dr. Flordeliza Grana, who is a medical specialist. At 58 years old, she chose to get vaccinated to help in convincing other healthcare workers and even the public to be inoculated.
I'm okay, except syempre medyo mainit yung paligid. The same thing, before I was vaccinated, I feel the same. I volunteered for them to be, if they see me okay, they will be encouraged to be injected with the vaccine.
Despite some of his colleagues' hesitancy on the Sinovac coronavac vaccine, Ryan Formaran decided to pursue receiving the vaccine.
Ang first choice ko naman talaga is Moderna nung Amerika. So, mas nauna kasing dumating nga itong Sinovac. So, why not na magpa-inject na rin po tayo nito? Kasi kung tutusin, halos pare-parehas naman po ang magiging effect naman to sa atin. Kumbaga parang mas magiging may laban na tayo sa virus.
Meanwhile, Mayor Teodoro is worried about the low turnout of vaccinees among healthcare workers in the city. According to the mayor, many have changed their minds to wait for the next brand of the vaccines. Teodoro explained that 1,500 medical and non-medical staff of the ARMMC signified their willingness to get vaccinated at the time when Pfizer was the known vaccine brand to first arrive in the city. However, only 130 health workers were left in the list when it was announced that the Sinovac vaccines will be the first to be distributed. The supposed vaccination of Teodoro today, in a bid to boost vaccine trust of his constituents, was cancelled following an advice from the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group to prioritize health workers.
Nalulungkot ako sapagkat nakahanda na ako magpabakuna ngayong umaga, ngunit Ayon sa tagubilin ng DOH ay hindi munang maaaring magpabakuna ang mga mayor na katulad ko.
Yung isang bakuna na madideprive natin doon sa isang health worker, sometimes baka mamaya merong mangyari sa kanya and we deprive him that slot. Kaya ako medyo nakusesya nga rin ako kahapon, kaya nagkaroon ng tinatawag nating konting sa PGH dahil kasi yun ang gusto nila na as much possible na itong 600,000 o yung 500,000 doon muna po sa health workers.
Teodoro said they will be needing over 10,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to cover the entire health workers in the city in both public and private institutions. Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto is urging Pasigueños to sign up for the government's COVID-19 inoculation program. Janice Enhenta will tell us why live. Yes, Janice?
Yes, Arlene, there are still 147 vaccination slots available in the Pasig City.
This after 153 healthcare workers expressed their willingness to be vaccinated with Sinovac vaccine. The Pasig City local government is targeting 300 recipients of the 600 doses of Sinovac vaccine, which was allotted to the city. According to Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto, there are still hesitations among his constituents with the Chinese vaccine, and they will not force anyone to take it. However, the mayor urges residents to trust the experts.
The best vaccine is the vaccine that is readily available. The best vaccine is the vaccine that we are able to use, not tomorrow, but right now. Let's trust the experts, not the politicians. Let's trust the experts. Hindi yung kung ano lang yung nabasa natin social media, but let's trust the experts.
Mayor Soto emphasized that he was willing to be vaccinated with any COVID-19 vaccine as soon as the Department of Health allows them to join the inoculation.
Arlene, the mayor hopes that more Filipinos would sign up for government's inoculation program in the coming days. Arlene?
Thank you, Janice Enhenta reporting live. A proposal to allocate Sinovac vaccines to 50 influencers to boost the country's vaccine confidence has been rejected by the government vaccination advisors. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte will wait for the vaccine developed by state-owned pharmaceutical company Sinopharm to be cleared for emergency use by the country's Food and Drug Administration. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Medical frontliners are the top priority of the government's vaccination program. This is the reason why the Interim National Immunization Technical Advisory Group, or INITAG, rejected the proposal of the Interagency Task Force Against COVID-19 to reserve CoronaVac shots for at least 50 influencers to boost vaccine confidence. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque mentioned these influencers include President Rodrigo Duterte, cabinet members, lawmakers, mayors, and other personalities.
Kami po sa IATF ay nag-propose na mga 50 na mga bakuna i-reserba para doon sa tinatawag nating influencers, no, nang mapainting natin ang ating vaccine confidence. Hindi po sumang-ayon ay NITAG.
The palace also apologized to the local chief executives who expressed their willingness to be vaccinated with CoronaVac, but the medical frontliners should come first. Only 3 top officials in the administration were inoculated with the Sinovac vaccines as directed by the President. These are Vaccine Czar and National Task Force Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez, NTF Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon, and Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA Chairperson Benhur Abalos as the representative of the Metro Manila mayors. Meanwhile, according to Malacanang, President Duterte is still waiting for the emergency use approval of the Sinopharm vaccines. This following the online application of the Chinese drug maker for an EUA of its COVID-19 vaccine before the FDA yesterday.
Mag-aantay po si Presidente ng EUA dahil nabalita ko nga po kahapon na meron na po nag-apply for the EUA of Sinopharm. So mag-aantay na lang po siya ng approval ng Sinopharm.
The FDA has granted compassionate special permit for the 10,000 doses of the Sinopharm vaccines for the Presidential Security Group. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Manila city government has started its COVID-19 vaccine rollout, initially targeting its medical frontliners. Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso, however, holds his own shot of the vaccine. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
As eager as Manila City Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso may want to be vaccinated against COVID-19 at the soonest time, medical frontliners in the local government unit should be prioritized in the vaccine rollout as mandated in the national policy. The LGU started its vaccination program in Santa Ana Hospital today and were able to vaccinate 136 out of the first 200 medical frontliners scheduled to be vaccinated on the first day of its rollout. According to the local chief executive, the number is expected to increase in the coming days after being inspired by prominent doctors who led the vaccination rollout in UPPGH yesterday. Based on the LGU's record, at least 1,900 out of about 4,000 medical frontliners from 6 local government hospitals in Manila have already pre-registered. But Mayor Dumagoso explains that once all the pre-registered medical frontliners are vaccinated, he may take his first available dose of any brand of the vaccine.
Kung halimbawa naman, may nagbago ang isip at ayaw pa magpabakuna, hindi naman namin sasayangin yung mga bakunang matitira. Hihingi ako ng clearance. It can be this week, it can be next week, pero magpapabakuna ako.
Vice Mayor Dr. Hani Lacuna, on the other hand, was able to be vaccinated and was even the first recipient of the vaccination program of the LGU. Dr. Lacuna explains that while working as the second highest local official in Manila, she still plays her part as a medical frontliner for Manileños.
Nagko-konsulta rin naman po ako during my free time. Nagbabara-barangay ako, kaya pinayagan po ako na mabakunahan din ngayon.
The Manila LGU plans to increase the number of vaccinees per day and open the other vaccination centers in government hospitals across the city. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
As the government began its vaccination program, the Department of Health confirmed the new COVID-19 variant first detected in South Africa has now entered the country. Known as the B1351 COVID-19 variant, it has a component that lessens the efficacy of a vaccine. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Both the B.1.1.7 variant first discovered in United Kingdom and B.1.351 variant first discovered in South Africa are now detected in the country. According to the Department of Health, the B.1.351 has a component that causes immune escape, in which it affects an individual's response when inoculated with a vaccine.
Instead that your antibodies will be working for you against a specific disease, hindi niya magagawa yon because of the effect of this variant. Kaya sinasabi nila na makakabawa sa efficacy ng isang bakuna because naapektuhan nga nitong mekanismo para mag-produce ng antibodies.
Experts are still searching for scientific evidence which COVID-19 vaccine can give more protection against the B.1.351 variant. Aside from Janssen of Johnson & Johnson, there are no reviews yet issued by vaccine manufacturers on the efficacy of vaccines to protect someone from being infected with a variant first discovered in South Africa. One of the DOH's priorities now is to further prevent its transmission in the country. 3 of the 6 cases are from Pasay City. 2 are returning OFWs from Qatar and UAE. One's origin is still being verified whether a local case or a returning OFW. Aside from this, there are 30 additional cases of B.1.1.7 variant first discovered in United Kingdom. 20 of those are returning OFWs from Singapore, Middle East, and USA. 7 are being verified and 3 from Cordillera Administrative Region. Experts have also discovered 2 mutations of concern in Region 7. Experts explain mutations are normal, but people should not still be complacent. The DOH also clarifies that although variants add to the factor why cases increase in the country, there's no community transmission yet in the Philippines.
We cannot say that yet because we can still find linkages across or among specific individuals. No, although there are still some individuals na atin pang pinag-aaralan kung saan galing at kung ano yung link niya. Pero sa ngayon, we cannot say yet na meron tayong community transmission.
This week, the DOH will conduct a special genome sequencing run from samples in NCR and Region 7 to find out if there are other COVID-19 variants existing in the country. The public is advised to still observe minimum public health standards, even vaccine recipients, especially those who are not yet vaccinated. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Pasay City local government targets to conduct COVID-19 testing in areas where the B1351 variant or the variant from South Africa was detected. Meanwhile, additional doses of vaccines will be allocated to the city. Ray Pelayo explains why.
3 local cases of the variant first discovered in South Africa or the B.1.351 were residents of the Pasay City. The local cases, a 61-year-old female, a 39-year-old male, and a 40-year-old male, has already recovered. According to Pasay City Mayor Emmy Calixto, they will conduct a COVID-19 testing in the area where the cases were discovered.
Doon sa barangays na merong South African variant, ay amin pong uulitin ang pagtetest upang makasigurado po tayo doon sa naging positive at doon sa mga na-contact trace natin.
A localized enhanced community quarantine is in effect in 77 barangays after more than 3 cases of COVID-19 were recorded. Despite this, Mayor Calixto said their positivity rate is already declining. Meanwhile, 5,000 additional doses of COVID-19 will be allotted to the city according to the Department of Interior and Local Government Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya to cover all frontliner, especially the health workers.
Our numbers are declining already here in Pasay, no? O kahit may sinasabing South African variant na nandito, the numbers are okay.
Malaya is the first person to receive the Sinovac vaccine in Pasay City General Hospital. There are 300 doses allotted to the hospital. But out of the 400 employees of the hospital, only 100 volunteered to be vaccinated with Sinovac.
Paano manghingi kahit yung ating mga kababayan magpapakuna kung mismong yung gaya namin na humihiya kahit sa kanila ay hindi nagpapabakuna. Kaya namin ginagawa ito.
This is really a big deal for us because this is another line of protection for us.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The palace released an allocation list containing COVID-19 referral hospitals in each region and eligible population for the distribution of the Sinovac vaccines in the entire country. Those with the biggest allocation are Metro Manila, Region 3 or Central Luzon, and Region 7 or Central Visayas. In Region 12 or Soc-Sargen with 23 hospitals, the eligible population is 8,705, while the eligible population in Region 11 or Davao region is 8,004. 215,606 health workers are expected to receive the shots from the donated vaccines. The Duterte administration wants to have an equitable distribution of the COVID-19 vaccines, in which the priority are health workers in areas where COVID-19 pandemic is severe.
And for those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Although many Filipinos, including health workers, have expressed worry over getting vaccinated against COVID-19, the country's health department recorded more than 700 vaccinees yesterday. This is why the DOH says they are satisfied with this turnout. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Various groups oppose the use of Sinovac Biotech's COVID-19 vaccine CoronaVac to be administered to healthcare workers. That's even before the Philippine government's inoculation began. Several groups of medical frontliners even conducted protests in front of hospitals. But according to the DOH, more than 700 vaccinees came to vaccination sites on the first day of the inoculation. Filipino experts who first received CoronaVac have served as examples to boost the confidence of their fellow healthcare workers in the vaccine.
Yun pong punto na yung ating mga pangunahing mga physicians sa mga kanilang mga ospital ay nagpabakuna nauna, katulad ni na Dr. Gapligaspi, yung atin pong eksperto na si Dr. Edsel Salvania, si Dr. Pamaran po ng Tala Hospital. Sa tingin po ay nakapagbigay din ng kumpiyansa sa ating mga healthcare workers.
On the other hand, based on a DOH report this morning, 20 vaccinees experienced adverse events receiving the jab. But these are common and minor adverse events after inoculation, said the DOH.
Masakit po yung braso nila pagka-iniksyon sa kanila. Meron pong isa na nag-experience ng pangangati or rashes. Meron pong isa naka-experience ng masakit ang kanyang ulo pagkatapos. Yung isa po ay naka-experience ng parang naduduwal. And yung iba po ay naka-experience ng pagtaas ng presyon. Lahat po sila ay na-monitor. Lahat po sila were managed accordingly. At lahat po sila ay umuwi. Wala pong inadmit sa ospital.
For the DOH, the first COVID-19 vaccination in the country is going well.
We are content. Masaya kami. Nagbabakuna na po tayo. Ang tagal-tagal po nating inantay and we are now vaccinating our healthcare workers na talagang sila naman po ang pinaka-importante na mabakunahan. Kumpara dun sa mga previous days na may mga lumalabas na talagang mataas ang hesitancy, we saw the support and we saw that healthcare workers voluntarily had themselves vaccinated.
The DOH is expecting that in the coming days, more medical frontliners would get inoculated with CoronaVac. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Department of Health, or DOH, reported today 2,067 more COVID-19 cases, bringing the nationwide tally to 580,442. Of the cumulative total, 33,610 or 5.8% are active cases. The Health Department said that 89.8% of the active cases have mild symptoms, 4.8% are asymptomatic, 2.3% are in critical condition, 2.2% are severe cases, and 0.85% are in moderate condition. The latest bulletin also showed that the death count climbed to 12,369 as 47 more patients died. Meanwhile, the number of recoveries increased to 534,463, with 144 patients who have beaten the illness.
Telecommunity Corporation will launch its operations in 2 areas in Visayas and Mindanao region this month. The new telco player will also roll out its broadband services soon. Joe Anano tells us why.
In order to meet their original commitment to provide the best telecommunications services in Mindanao and in accordance with the company's original name, Dito Telecommunity Corporation will conduct their pilot commercial operations in Metro Davao and in Metro Cebu on March 8. Based on the announcement released by the new telco player, they will have their commercial rollout in Metro Davao, including Panabo, Tagum, Carmen, Digos, and Davao City. While in Metro Cebu, the pilot operations will cover the areas of Karkar, Cebu City, Consolacion, Danao, Liloan, Mandaue, Minglanilla, Naga, San Fernando, and Talisay.
Ang decision talaga na magsimula po sa Mindanao kasi yung roots po ng dito ay Mindanao talaga. If you will recall, Sec Martin, ang original na pangalan po ng dito is Mindanao Islamic Telephone Company. At ang purpose po ng initial franchise ng dito was to serve the underserved in Mindanao. Kaya naisip po namin na maganda ang unang commercial rollout po natin. Hindi po sa Manila, kundi po sa Mindanao, specifically sa Davao, at sa Visayas na rin po, specifically sa
In the span of 2 years, Dito Telecom was able to establish 1,900 cell sites, reaching 37% of their target coverage.
Hihingi kami ng konting siguro pag-unawa sa publiko kasi mahirap po talaga mag-set up ng network from zero. In fact, Sec Martin, marami nagsabi na hindi natin ito kaya, but we have passed our first technical audit, and 37% po ng bansa ay covered.
For now, Dito Telecom will only be launching their mobile services as they are planning to introduce their broadband services next year. The new telco player discloses that they will be providing 27 Mbps internet speed, and this was their commitment to the government. And this was way too far from the 80 to 500 Mbps internet service that they can possibly provide based on the result of the independent audit conducted by the National Telecommunications Commission. The telecom company targets to cover 84% of the country's population in the next 5 years. The entry of Dito Telecom became controversial as it partners with a Chinese government-owned telecommunication corporation who is in charge of the management and construction of cell towers inside military camps. But Dito Telecom committed and vowed that their operations will not violate the Philippine cyber and national security. Johanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA Chief Wilkins Villanueva has challenged those who are claiming that PDEA agents sold drugs to Philippine National Police personnel to produce evidence. Meanwhile, the PNP has submitted their evidence on the deadly misencounter to the National Bureau of Investigation. Leah Ilagan reports.
Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA Director General Wilkins Villanueva expressed his willingness to step down if his men are proven involved in a failed drug operation with the Quezon City Police last February 24. The operation led to the death of 5 people and wounded 3 policemen and PDEA agents. Villanueva also challenged anyone to produce evidences to prove that PDEA agents sold drugs.
Huwag na tayo magsalita nang walang ebidensya. Kasi hearsay lang yan. Magsalita ka kung may makikita kang ebidensya na naandyan. CCTV ang patunay. Maghanap. Magpalabas sila ng CCTV na nagbentahan ang PDEA at ang pulis. Magre-resign ako. Right now. Magpalabas kayo ng ebidensya na CCTV na nagbenta ang PDEA at kayo ang bumili. Dung kaso na yun. I will resign immediately.
Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police confirmed they have turned over their evidences on the misencounter to the NBI. PNP Crime Laboratory Director, Police Brigadier General Steve Ludan said this includes firearms, cars, cell phone, drug test result, an autopsy result of those who were killed, paraffin test, analysis of the bullet trajectories, ballistics, and fingerprints. Police Brigadier General Ludan also confirmed that they have recovered budel money inside the van occupied by PDEA agents.
Meron po kasabang budel money recovered from the van occupied by the PDEA. Budel money po ito and this was already turned over to the IOC.
Members of the QCPD DSOU involved in the incident were immediately transferred to the administration office pending the investigation.
For the meantime, yung mga personnel namin will be doing administrative duties. Nag-report na lang sila sa opisina pending the result of the NBI investigations po.
PNP Chief Debold Sina said they are confident that the NBI will find the truth on the bloody misencounter. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Bureau of Fire Protection of Navotas plans to establish a maritime fire station that can respond immediately to fire incidents at fish ports. JP Nunez tells us why.
Two abandoned fishing vessels caught fire at around 5 p.m. yesterday at the Navotas Fishport Complex. The Navotas Fire Station admits weakness in responding to this kind of incident. Now they plan on establishing a maritime fire station. This is to give immediate response to fire incidents involving sea vessels.
Ang kagandahan dito kasi na-expose yung kahinaan ng Bureau of Fire doon sa responde para sa mga ganyan maritime na sunog. So ito ay aming gamitin para magkaroon ng recommendation sa office namin para mag-procure ng may mga equipment na magagamit natin sa mga ganitong mga sunog.
There were no casualties in the incident, but the Bureau of Fire Protection will investigate the incident. Based on the initial report by the authorities, the fire was caused by a floating device that caught fire and the fire spread throughout the two water vessels before its fire out was declared at about 1 a.m. Tuesday. The Navotas Coast Guard said there is no oil spill yet reported from this incident. A progress report will soon be released. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
New Yorkers rally against another wave of anti-Asian hate and violence, which has risen following a string of viral videos depicting attacks against Asian Americans. Carmi Rioveros will tell us why.
New York citizens and officials have called for immediate action after the stabbing of a 36-year-old Asian American last week, and similar incidents were reported across the United States. The rally was hosted by the Asian American Federation, an umbrella organization that advocates for better policies and services for members of the Asian American community. According to the Federation, there were nearly 500 racially motivated crimes, with incidents ranging from verbal to physical assaults. However, these are a fraction of the total number of incidents that have occurred, as the majority of cases go unreported. The New York Police Department only reported 29 occasions of racial bias. U.S. Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer affirmed that there was a surge of anti-Asian attacks at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. New York Attorney General Letitia James encouraged individuals at the rally to report hate crimes to her office. Carmi Rioveros, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the United Kingdom has received criticisms after announcing their contribution to fund the humanitarian programs for Yemen will be cut by more than half of last year's figure. Ia De Vera will tell us why live. Yes, Ia, please go ahead.
Mariel, the United Nations conducted a virtual high-level pledging event for the humanitarian solution in Yemen. Despite urgent funds needed, the United Kingdom revealed their contribution, which is 59% lower than last year's aid to the Yemenis. In support to funding humanitarian programs for Yemen, Foreign Office Minister James Cleverly announced this year's financial aid from United Kingdom.
To respond to the crisis, the UK will provide at least £87 million to Yemen over the course of the next financial year, bringing the UK's contribution since the start of this conflict to over £1 billion.
The said allocation is 59% lower than 2020-2021 financial year, when country's contribution is £214 million or $120.88 million US. UK government's decision to cut Yemen's aid received rapid criticisms from various politicians in the country. Labour's MP and chair of the International Development Select Committee, Sarah Champion, expressed on social media that she was shocked that UK's commitment is dramatically below previous commitments to save lives. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke earlier on the conference, pointing out the severity of the suffering in Yemen.
More than 60 million people are expected to go hungry this year. And nearly 50,000 Yemenis are already starving to death in famine-like conditions. The worst hunger is in areas affected by the conflict. 4 million people across Yemen have been forced from their homes. The recent Houthi offensive in Marib threatens to displace hundreds of thousands more.
The UK government has announced that with their provided funding, the country will prioritize those most vulnerable and at highest risk, providing at least 1.6 million with access to clean drinking water and supporting clinics to provide health care. Cleverly added that 240,000 of the most vulnerable Yemenis will be fed every month. Marielle?
All right, Iya, thank you for that live report. A Paris court has sentenced former French President Nicolas Sarkozy to a year in prison and a 2-year suspended sentence. Marvy Delphine will tell us why live. Yes, Marvy, good evening.
Marielle, Nicolas Sarkozy has been found guilty of bribing and influence peddling after trying to illegally obtain information from a senior magistrate in 2014 about an ongoing investigation into his presidential campaign finances. The court said if the appeal fails, Sarkozy was entitled to request to be detained at home with an electronic bracelet. Sarkozy's co-defendants, his lawyer and longtime friend Thierry Herzog, and now retired magistrate Gilbert Azibert were also found guilty and given the same sentence as the former politician. Dubbed the wiretapping case, it began in 2013 when investigators bugged phones belonging to Sarkozy and Herzog. They discovered that the two men promised Azibert a prestigious position in Monaco in exchange for about an ongoing inquiry that Sarkozy had accepted illegal payments from L'Oreal heiress Lillian Bettencourt for his successful 2007 presidential campaign. Sarkozy will face another trial later this month, along with 13 other people on charges of illegal financing of his 2012 election campaign. His Conservative Party is suspected of having spent $66.4 million, almost twice the maximum authorized, to finance the campaign, which ended in victory for socialist opposition François Hollande. This is a legal landmark as the 66-year-old president from 2007 to 2012 is the first president to have been convicted of corruption and sentenced to jail in France's modern history. Marielle?
All right, Marvy, thank you for that live report. The Japanese government asks China to stop conducting anal swab testing for COVID-19 to Japanese citizens entering their country. RK Lorca will tell us why live. Yes, RK.
Marielle, a formal request through Japanese embassy in Beijing was made to exclude Japanese citizens from having anal COVID-19 swab tests as they received reports that it caused them psychological distress, according to Chief Cabinet Secretary Katsunobu Kato on Monday. Mr. Kato said the number of Japanese citizens who received the said test is unknown and that they will continue to push for its change. Prior to this, there were reports of U.S. diplomats complaining after being subjected to the same procedure for COVID-19 tests, which China has denied. The anal swab test for COVID-19 includes inserting a cotton swab 3 to 5 centimeters into the anus and gently rotating it. It has become the second popular COVID-19 testing method in China and is done only for people under quarantine in major hotspots, as it is not as convenient as the commonly used nose and mouth swabs, according to Li Tongzheng, Yuan Hospital's Associate Director of Respiratory and Infectious Disease. However, the procedure has been controversial to both Chinese social media and medical experts. Marielle?
Thank you, RK, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. New generation wearable technology can now use human bodies as batteries. Mavian Dog will tell us the details.
A team of scientists at the University of Colorado Boulder, or CU Boulder, have just developed a new wearable device that can use body heat as a source of electricity. The next generation device reportedly uses thermoelectric generators that use our body temperatures to convert heat energy into electricity, essentially making those who wear it human batteries. The device is also effective in decreasing the need to use conventional batteries as they come to use in the future. The device is made from a material that stretches along the skin, worn either as a ring or a bracelet, and can generate around 1 volt of electricity for every square centimeter of skin. That reportedly is enough to power a smartwatch or fitness tracker. The parts that don't touch the skin, also known as the cold side, deflect solar radiation and activates a cooling effect or the radiative sky cooling, much like solar panels. The wearable device also boasts a self-healing ability that allows itself to reconfigure and fix itself in a matter of minutes as you move with it. The components of the device are completely recyclable. Remanufactured parts have displayed a similar power output to that of the original. This, Xiao states, is to provide as close to zero impact on the environment as possible. Xiao says that there are still ongoing processes in finalizing the device's technology, but he is hopeful to see the wearable device in the market within 5 to 10 years. Mavian Dog, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Dogs are man's best friend, but experts in Kyoto University found out that these friendly animals won't be fooled by lying owners. Early Briones reports.
Dogs are very intelligent and social animals, and it is a common knowledge over the years that they are quick to obey orders. However, in a recent experiment in Kyoto University led by Akiko Takaoka, it shows that dogs can determine if a person is trustworthy. This study was conducted by observing 34 dogs in 3 rounds of pointing gestures. In the first round, the researcher pointed on a container with food, but in the second round, he pointed on an empty container. On both instances, the pet followed the order and sniffed out the containers. In the last round, however, the researcher pointed again to a container with food, but this time, the dog did not respond to the signal. When a new researcher did the pointing cue, the dog obeyed with eagerness. This behavior suggests that the dog can assess whether the person is reliable or not, and once they determine that he is dishonest, they often not follow the orders. In a published article, it was mentioned that these canines respond differently to people who habitually deceive them compared to honest people. And according to John Bradshaw, a veterinary scientist at the University of Bristol, it is important for owners to be consistent and honest to their dogs to avoid behavioral disorders. Early Briones, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Maria Latoza, live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
And those are the reasons behind the news, March 2, 2021. I am Harleen Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people, we give glory to God.